Planning to get away this summer? Maybe go camping or glamping? Maybe go to some exotic location around the world? Maybe visiting friends and family? Maybe just hiding somewhere? Well, don't forget to pack some games. Here's a few that you might enjoy for your summer vacation. How about a year's worth of games in one little box? Now, every family is different, of course, but I think we may have something right here in this little box for just about everyone. Let me introduce you to Gamedeck. Gamedeck is a little box here packed full of games. There are 52 games in here, one for each weekend of the year. You aren't going to run out of games on your vacation if you take the Gamedeck with you. I've always been the game guy in our group and our scout troop and such, so I always bring a few games along wherever I go. This little baby's got lots of games packed in here. Let me show you how it works. Inside this little box for Gamedeck, we have a Gamedeck glossary. This is a little booklet which outlines some of the basic game terms, and it will help to understand the rules to the rest of the games in here. We also have a little scratch pad here. And there's a pouch here which has some gaming pieces, a couple of dice and some pawns. We have a deck of cards and a couple of golf pencils. But here's the cool part. Every one of the cards in this deck has a game on it. Rules to a different game that you can play in the car or, like I say, around a picnic table and so on. The suit of hearts is all games that involve dice and dominoes. Now, dominoes, you say? Sure, get some pocket-sized dominoes next time you go to the dollar store, and that fits in your pocket just as easily as a deck of cards. The suit of clubs are board games. Now, these are simplified board games so that you can just draw the board diagram on a napkin or a piece of paper or the back of a placemat at a restaurant and start right out playing with some of the pieces that are included here. Occasionally, you'll need to find other bits, but you know what? That's pretty easy. Peanuts, candies, little pebbles that you find on the ground. There are a lot of ways that you can improvise the playing pieces for these board games. The diamonds are all pencil and paper games, which is why we include the little scratch pad and the golf pencils so that you can play these things on the road. Of course, you can find other writing implements and involve more people in the game. And the spade suit are all verbal or acting games. And generally, you don't need any kind of extra equipment for those. So, pick a card, any card. Well, let's pick this card. The Eight of Hearts. And the game on the Eight of Hearts is called Glückshaus. Glückshaus is a medieval gambling game. It doesn't mean that you're risking a lot of money here. You can play for peanuts, literally. All the instructions are here as well as the diagram, and it shows what equipment you need and the two dice here to play the game. Now, as I said, this little booklet here explains some gaming terms to help you understand the rules and so on. On the back side is a QR code, and that code and the URL below it will lead you to a document online that you can download and print out or just refer to on the fly, which gives you many, many more games so that you can continue to play beyond the 52 that are included in this deck. So in reality, this deck of 52 cards and 52 games is not your limit. You can play thousands of games with this deck of cards and this equipment and a few extra bits that you find along the way. That's the Gamedeck. Just $15. Look at all you get. Here's a little game I think you'll enjoy for the summer. It's called Hod. It's a game of dice and pegs and a little bit of math involved here. But you see on the cover of this diagram, this picture, this is an illustration of what's called a Hod. And here's another illustration of what's called a Hod. It was a device that was used specifically for carrying bricks and stones. And you'll see in a second why that's relevant to this game. Inside the game, as usual, you'll see a little instruction book here. A whole bunch of pegs and a die, a couple dice, and the board. Now the board, as you can see, depicts this Hod shape right here, and all the holes in the middle and some numbers. Now, when you play the game Hod, you'll need a way to keep score, of course. That can be a piece of paper and a pencil. Of course, I recommend scoreboards. They're real convenient and fit in the same package as this. And they're great for travel game because those pegs won't fall out. Your score is intact even if you hit a bump. Whereas if you try to keep scoring other ways, you're trying to draw while you drive and so on. That's not a good idea. So, scoreboards from NewVenture Games. The link's in the show notes. Now, according to the rule book, for 2 players, each player uses 14 colored pegs, and 8 black pegs are used. Phase 1 of the game is to take these dice and roll the dice and position the black pegs on the board according to that roll. So, for example, I roll a 6 and a 5. That means I can either put this peg in the 6 and the 5 here, or the 5 and the 6 here. Doesn't matter which way I go. Then the other player gets to place one. Got a 4 and a 3. Then we have a 4 and a 2. A 1 and a 3. A 1 and a 1. Ooh, that's interesting. One and a 2. And a 4 and a 3. You have to put your peg in the lowest possible point. Now, sometimes there are choices to be made, but that's where we start first. And so, with all that in mind, yellow goes first. Now, yellow has a choice. At the lowest possible point is either this 2 over here, because it can't go any lower, or this 4 on this side, because that plinko ball would go there and rest up against the side and against that. So obviously we're going to take this because the score is going to be the multiplication of those 2 coordinates. So 1 times 4. So yellow gets 4 points for that position. And now the green player goes. And green has the choice of taking that 5 or taking this 2. Can even take this one over here. That's a 4 times 4. That's 16 points there for green. Okay, now yellow again. Yellow says, well, I can't go here because that would just slide off and come down to 2. So I'm going to take this 5-pointer over here for 9. Green takes 2 points for 18. Yellow will take the 6. Now, if I take that 8 for green, the next one is going to be 10 points for yellow. If I take this 3 over here for green, then yellow only gets 8. But then I have the opportunity to get the 10 or the 6 back here. So I think I'll take the lower number this time, 3, which forces yellow to decide between these 2 as well. Well, yellow's going to take the 8. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then green will get the 10, like we planned. Yellow will get a 12. Okay, so here's the final score. We have yellow with 196 points and green, which has 180 points even. Yay, yellow. And that's how the game works. Now, the multiplayer versions here, for example, if you have 3 players, each player uses 10 colored pegs and 6 black pegs are used. If you have 4 players, then each player has 8 colored pegs and 4 black pegs are used. So the balance is quite different in that case. So that's HOD, a very quick little game. A lot of high scoring, which is sort of exciting, and some decisions to be made as you fill in those spaces, particularly with the black pegs, offering some different patterns to score by. So now the third game in this collection is called What For? Well, I'll tell you what for. This is a 2 to 4 player game, and inside the box we find a pegboard, as you would expect, a big baggie full of pegs, and 4 chips that have colors on one side. The first thing we want to do is empty these pegs into the box. You have to do a random draw of peg colors. These are in 4 colors for 4 players. If you're only playing 2 players, you still play with all 4 colors. There are also a half a dozen white pegs in here, which are wild. They can be any color you want, and they can change color. So if I play this and I'm pretending it's a blue one, that's fine, but the next player could pretend that it's orange. So you got to be careful about where you put the wild pegs. The game begins with the 4 color chips, color side down, so you can't see what color there is on the other side. And then each player will play with 2 for the demonstration purposes. Picks one of these. I'm going to expose this for the sake of demonstration, but normally you'd keep this goal a secret from the other player. So player number 2 is going for yellow. Player number 1 is going for orange. That's our goal, to get 4 in a row of that color on the board. Now, here's the tricky part. You're supposed to hold this above your head and pick a random peg. And then, looking at it, you decide where you want to put it on the board. This is my own color, so this is a valuable peg to me. I'm going to put it somewhere near the middle, so I have a lot of choices around that peg to get my 4 in a row. Now, the opponent picks a peg, and it is blue. Neither one of us have blue. Of course, the opponent doesn't know that. As far as that opponent knows, I have blue or green or orange. So we'll just put the blue over here in the corner. Now, that indicates to me, strategically, that my opponent doesn't have blue, because it put it right over in the corner. So what's the strategy behind that? Well, there may be a reason for that. So now it's my turn again. I get a yellow peg. Don't care about yellow. I'll just stick it here randomly along one edge. The opponent, who is yellow, gets an orange peg. Okay, he's going to say, does my opponent have orange? I don't know. Let's put it way over in the corner over here. My turn again. I have another yellow peg. Don't care about yellow. I'll just put it over here on the other side of the board. Another orange peg. Ooh, this could be valuable to me, so I'm going to stick it over here. Is my opponent picking up on this pattern or not? Maybe he just thinks I put this randomly along the edge. Who knows? Okay, now we got some decisions to make. Is he going for orange? If he's going for orange, I don't want him to have it. So I'm going to put this orange over here by this blue one. Orange for the win. Orange with a wild card, you can have up to 2 of the wild pegs in a row and still win the game. If you have more than 2, it's not a win. So that's how the game of What For works. Another great little pastime that you can take with you on vacation this summer. And so, my friends, 3 little boxes and 68 games, maybe more depending on how you count. Something for everybody here in these games for your summer vacation, whether you're going to family camp or horse camp or band camp or scout camp or camp or survival camp or maybe just a sleepover in the backyard. But whatever you play, when you're away, be sure to play.